All right. First off, I'd like to point out that this person was wrongly identified in the local papers, whatever you want to call it, around pretty much everywhere, as Ciro Ignacio. His real name is Ciro Antonio. With that being said, he was actually a close friend of the Chapitos, on top of being a plaza boss for them. Some other things that weren't mentioned, I guess, is the fact he didn't... Excuse the squeaky chair, guys. Nothing I can do about it, okay? He was mentioned about being a plaza boss for the Chapitos and was kidnapped along with several other people. It wasn't just him that disappeared. Some other interesting things just to start with before we get into everything is the fact he's been involved and pointed out in the disappearance of several police officers, or was, because he's no longer with us, right? He was murdered, as well as other disappearances. In fact, a group came with basically canines that smell bodies, and they'd already found 4 bodies at the site, but were threatened to leave there. So, they were right on the money. They were finding them, right? With that being said, El Ciro, also known as the 24, was kidnapped by an armed group, and he controlled a lot of the plazas in between the outside of Culiacan, coming into like San Pedro, which were actually where he was left. And it's interesting where they left him is a sign in itself, like a message, if you want to call it that, because he was left right at the plaza. The plaza is like the center of the city where it's built around, since a long time ago. And what can I say? He was left there as a sign like, you don't control this, and this is where he controlled. So on top of kidnapping and murdering him, they threw him in the place where he controlled. And this was after being missing for around 4 days. So I'm sure he was tortured, and he had signs of torture as well as gunshots to his back and to the back of his head, known here as Tiro de Gracia. So, you live by the gun, you die by the gun, right? With that being said, no one deserves to be murdered or anything like that. I'm not implying that. I'm just saying, what goes around comes around as far as being involved in that. Especially if you have a chance to get your life right, and you don't, you just keep going around that route. And usually, around 24, 25, around that age, damn well what you're doing and you have a chance to change it. But I guess sometimes also you're already too deep into it to change it. Now, the possible people responsible for this, of course, I think the number one suspect right off the bat will be Mairo's people. They're the one who are maintaining a dispute with the Chapitos, and especially Russo, people like that, around the areas of Culiacan, like the Puche, where I'm at right now, places like that. They're also maintaining a fight in other parts of the country with them, but this is being centered around these areas. Of course, Culiacan being the ultimate goal. And there's several groups, of course, who want to control Culiacan. There's no doubt in that, but right now the Chapitos, to my understanding, are very firm grip, and they have plenty of people working for the organization. That's not a problem. At the time I remember Chapo's trial, they identified well over 100,000 people working for the Sinaloa cartel, and I'm sure there's a lot more, and that's just Chapo's faction. That's not Mairo's faction, so remember that too. These are big numbers, I'm sure, for lots of people, but this is a big organization that moves who knows how much in product, I don't really want to say, because I think the estimates, official estimates are way low. So when I say what I say, people are like, no, you're crazy. You guys know what time it is. So El Ciro, as a plaza boss for the Chapitos, let me explain that. He was responsible for the distribution, usually, of drug in that area, and I'm sure on the exportation level to a certain extent because of the importance of where this is, right around Culiacan. And also probably the production. There's lots of labs, things like that around Culiacan, of course. When I say labs, of course, I mean things producing things like methamphetamine, fentanyl, as well as producing the poppy gum into heroin. So there's lots of reasons for them to be fighting over this area on top of just killing someone for the Chapitos. This is, an important area with lots of business in it as far as illegal business and narcotics, and people are willing to die over that. They have been for a long time and probably always will be, as long as these substances are illegal and worth so much money. Simple facts. So, with El Ciro's death, I'm sure they already had someone to replace him, probably hours after he was dead. His code was 24, the 24. And I say that because they always are. They don't just leave your position open and feel bad for you. They replace you as soon as they can because they don't want to lose money. It's what it's all about, the money. It's not about the people. My compadre always said that to me, that we're friends, we're compadres, so it's different. But for everyone else, this is about money. This has nothing to do with friendship or who you are. This is business, and this is how we conduct business. That's just how it is. And if you can't accept that, you shouldn't be in that line of work, because people are disposed of like material goods. They're not looked at as people in any way, shape, or form. So please keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting into that life, and please don't, of course. In fact, if you want help stepping out or know anyone who does, my email is ogshadowofficial@gmail.com, all lowercase, all together. Please smash on that like button, notifications, and subscribe, everybody. Have a good one. Adios, amigos.